Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Brenya, and I'm here today to present a very difficult and rather horrific topic, that of human trafficking. But before I start, I'd like to give thanks to Dr. Greenway and to St. Mary's University for inviting me. Thank you. So let's begin. So the topic of human trafficking is the most horrific topic. It is a topic that we professionals and we trench workers do not like to discuss publicly because the general population does not need to know the horror of the details. However, I'm here today because it does need to be presented, because human trafficking, under two aspects of it, is worse than ever today. And this is the new year, 2021. So let's get ready to roll. There are 5 parts to what I'm going to present to you. The first part is my background, because you deserve to know that. The second part is what's going on in general around the globe, around the world, including domestically here in the United States. The third part is on statistics. And the fourth part will be a wrap-up, which will be interesting to you. And I missed the fifth part, which is actually the second part and the biggest, my faith. All right, so the first part. Human trafficking is all around us, here in the United States. And it's all around us globally, in many different nations. My background when it comes to this topic has to do with how I began, reluctantly. I began reluctantly in Baltimore City, state of Maryland, in 1982, when I was working in the public defender's office, and I was placed with the street gangs. The street gang members needed our support, and so I asked them if they could tell me what they knew about their culture, and they were happy to. So that's how I began this reluctant journey. After that, I came across information from an informant in West Africa about the human trafficking of children there. And I will begin, after I've given you more of my background, to let you know about the story of muted voices. Muted voices meaning they cannot speak. So I will tell you their story. And then I will tell you about where it progressed from there in terms of my background. Now, I must tell you that my fields, professional fields, are in law, psychology, criminal justice, and now information technology, and I'm beginning to learn much more about AI, artificial intelligence, which is important to even this topic. As I go on, I would like to thank our law enforcement with you. Law enforcement here in the United States especially, because the United States is a fantastic nation of fantastic trench workers and fantastic professionals, which I've had the honor to work with. So now let's move on to the most important part of me, my faith. I am a Christian, and my faith is that God leads me in my paths, even if I'm reluctant. So now let's dig in. So we had the third part. The third part is generalized statistics. The generalized statistics is our nation, the United States of America, has the most horrific and worst human trafficking around the world. However, we must think carefully and logically, because the United States is gigantic. It has 50 states. and a large population of people. And furthermore, the United States is welcoming to so many who seek refuge. And therefore, logically, one must consider why it has the worst statistics. Another point is the United States has money, and you'll hear from what I have to tell you today, that the human traffickers, the perpetrators, the criminals, they follow where the money is. So that is why the nation of the United States is filled with this difficulty and problem. However, globally, we have Europe and the other continents, such as Asia, and it is horrific there as well. I will extrapolate Ireland as a quick example. So Ireland has a problem with human trafficking. Approximately 70% of those human trafficked in Ireland are exploited sexually. About 20% are exploited from servitude. That's work exploitation. Now let's go for another example in Asia. In Indonesia and the Philippines, there is a problem with human trafficking. It is unfortunate to let you know that the human traffickers attract, for money, American men to go on vacation, to exploit within the sexual industry people in the Philippines. Again, remember, it follows the money, because this industry is more than billions of dollars of revenue per year, globally as well as in the United States. So now let's go with me to West Africa. I will not name the countries in West Africa for cultural reasons. So this is what occurred. In 1994, with my agency, the agency I founded, I was in one of the nations, and an informant wanted to speak with me. This informant was the most brilliant and precious and valued girl, 13 years old. And today I am here to give her story. She had given me permission in 1994 to give her story. Her story is, she is a Tuareg person, then a child. The Tuaregs are nomads. They travel from Libya, Sudan, Chad, and Niger. They travel reluctantly when they are human trafficked. So this girl, whose IQ was over the top, brilliant, she had decided to do what I would ask all the victims to do their best to do. She did it. She saw a chance to run, and she ran. She ran and ran behind a car outside a church. And my very good friend, coincidentally, when she went to her car after church service, she saw this girl, and this girl could speak broken English because she's brilliant. And she said, "Help me." My friend immediately understood, which is amazing, and opened the car door and told the girl to jump in. She drove her home, and that's where I met the 13-year-old. The 13-year-old story goes like this. She had a bath as soon as she got to my friend's house because she was filled with dirt and lice and fleas. And she relaxed and she ate because she was hungry and thirsty. And then, this is what she told me. She told me that the human traffickers, the most horrific of people, had taken her when she was 4 years old, as she was walking and playing with her friends in the dry desert area. They'd thrown her in a pickup truck. And when she landed, as a 4-year-old, she saw other children in it. And after that, they brought them to the West Coast. She told me that if they were to talk, they would be killed. That when they slept in warehouses, in rows on the cold floor, this one young boy, younger than her, was a normal young boy, brave. And at nights when he slept next to her, the horrific traffickers came with a cement block, brace yourself, and smashed his head. He died. As a warning to her and to all others, do not talk. She expressed to me that when the girls are older, they are sent throughout West Africa to be wed. When the boys are older, they are sent back to Northern Africa to become horrific militants. So moving along, my dad and wonderful mentors that I have had through blessings have told me this. If you look behind me, you can see a queue, an aisle of many, many people that descend and ascend miles behind me, saying, please, Dr. Twumasi, speak on this for us. Our voices are muted. We had no opportunity to go to school as you did. We had no opportunity to have a restful place to study as you did. Go, go, go. Open the door for us, and we'll follow through. So, I worked for the Sheriff's Department under the clinic in Maryland, in the criminal justice correctional facility, reluctantly. At the clinic, I was given the prostitutes that were in treatment, reluctantly. But I did a good job because they're valuable. Everyone is of value, except the perpetrators who are horrific and actually doing evil things. So when I looked at my journey as I was a reluctant trench worker in this particular horrific field, I see it as a calling, not for me, but I mention this to you because our police officers, our correctional officers, our law enforcement, the FBI and others, Interpol, it is a calling for those undercover and all others who are supporting to find you, the victim, who hear from us, as you hear today, that they're calling out, find me, please. They're doing all they can. So today I'm here to represent the voice of the muted. They are gems, they're valuable, they're precious, each one. So, moving back to the statistics. We have a problem on our hands that is more horrific than the general population knows, which is a good thing because you must not think upon horrific things. Those of us who have a calling have boundaries. We're able to support and help. And there are many people who are supporting and helping. So, here are the legal definitions. I take my time to give you the legal definitions because that is a baseline that you must know. And why you must know it is articles, newspaper articles, magazine articles, and the media, although they're highly trained and wonderful people, they don't give necessarily the correct legal definitions. So it is time for you to know the correct legal definitions, which are actually global definitions. So number one, we will cover human smuggling, which is not human trafficking. Human smuggling, legally, is a contract between the provider and the customer. The provider states, I will support by illegally taking the individual or the family or the group across legal jurisdictions. It's an illegal contract. Prostitution is the second. Prostitution is the exchange of sexual favors for value. In law, we're careful as we say this. The exchange, again, of sexual favors for value. We're careful because we generalize, because value can mean so much more. So there are many more prostitutes around and about that don't appear to be prostitutes. However, they're given sexual favors for value. Now let's go to what we're discussing here today, human trafficking. So human trafficking is in two parts. Exploitation of servitude for work is one. Two is sexual exploitation. And the legal term for that is by fraud, by force, by coercion. And remember, this is a global definition. Because globally, we are trying to find you, the victim. We're doing all we can in our little parts to help you be rescued and then to help you recover. So, I had mentioned that it is worse now than ever. You may have heard when you're thumbing through social media, whether you live in North America, South America, Australia, Asia, Europe, Antarctica. While you're looking at social media, you may have heard our media, our journalists, our investigative journalists are fabulous. They educate well. Now you know the definitions. The definitions are very important because many people, including people in a classroom and writing articles, mix up human trafficking with human smuggling. Now, granted, human trafficking can result from human smuggling. I'll give you an example. So Dubai, Libya. Many go there to work. And people help them, but perpetrators, illegally to get there. And then they seize their passports. They seize everything they have. They threaten. So remember definition, force, fraud, and coercion. There's so much to share with you. One adult escaped Libya with videotape. We have the evidence. And told us, take note, everyone. So again, I'm talking for the muted, with a promise. Where are the children, the babies born, and the women who were smuggled across as well? Where are they? They've disappeared. Actually, they're in the clutches of perpetrators and human traffickers of the most violent kind for years. So, given my faith, personally, what I will brief you is that within the word it states, hurt a hair on a child's head, and is worse for you than an anchor of a milestone put around your neck and drowned. So please, if you're thinking as a young person to join the horrific human traffickers, do not. Because we're looking at justice, equity, diversity. We speak nice words, but this is the worst. We've gone through lockdown. We've talked about social media, how we have to learn it across the globe. Guess what? The human traffickers have learned it as well. That's why statistically in 2021, we're worse off than we were ever before with human trafficking and sexual exploitation. They have learned, as you have, about Zoom. They have learned, as you have, about the different platforms. And therefore, they've become much more organized, as you have, to perpetrate this horrific industry online. This is a serious problem. That's why I'm here today. Please, no heavenly justice is worse. Therefore, do not join in. Do not. So moving along, there is so much more to share. Much of it is covered information. Other information is open. But you may have compassion fatigue. You may say, what can I do? I don't know what to do to help. I have all these emotions now. I may be thinking, I wish I wasn't watching this because I don't know where to put my emotions. You see, that's frustration, which we understand. And frustration is unmet expectations. We understand this. So what I want to say is this. You can start right away, given your particular faith, of praying for those in the field, like I have been, for those in the classroom, like I am now. You can pray for those who we fully respect, big respect, big respect, as my brother says. Law enforcement, intel workers, task forces. You can pray for them. You can give them kudos for what they do. You don't know many of them. So pray for them. That is huge. Please start. Pray for the precious victims. Another horrific item I have to say. The victims range from age babies, to much older. Whichever way they can get money from the horrible men and some women who are seeking the sexual industry for exploitation, for sex. We have talked about get a culture of not hiding this and placing in media the faces of those who made use of these precious victims. You can support them even if you don't know them. Pray. The next thing to do is this. I have told the victims on purpose for you, the audience, to hear. Run, run, run. Some of the running definition is they slip a note full of fear, because remember, they could be killed easily. Once the evidence is gone, it's easier. So the perpetrators do kill. They may slip a note on a napkin in the airplane. They may slip a note to someone. They may write to scratch in the bathroom. Please, if you don't understand it, but you think this is curious, immediately give it to law enforcement officer. Because you can trust me, law enforcement officers today in the United States of America are well trained to know what to do next, even if it is not their division. You can do that. You can begin to see cameras around certain type of human trafficking in terms of work and servitude. Many cameras. Just begin to think quietly, keep yourself safe. But begin to think quietly, why are there so many cameras in here? So, you're very helpful. As you know, the general population sees more than law enforcement. Please, do it in a safe way. Because where there's so much money, there's more hurt for those who report. So do it in a safe way. Now, I will go back It's a part of my training. The prostitutes I had as clients were in a treatment house away from their pimps and their madams, away, so they couldn't be found. And they had a graduation, and they invited me. I was so proud of them because of their stories. And I promised to tell this story as well. This is the story that here in the United States and around the world, the traffickers and the pimps, as I've already stated, they follow money. I have said that. So brace yourself. I have another horrific story. The prostitutes taught me that their pimps and madams tell them things like this. The engineers are coming to town. The engineers are going to come to strip club. The engineers are coming to town. Make sure in our meeting that you're pumped up and ready to do whatever you can in a strip club or elsewhere to get money out of their pockets, because the engineers have money. They said they would weep, and many of them would be on drugs to numb themselves out. Drugs that they did not want, but were given by force by the pimps and madams. And they knew they had to do everything they can to seduce each and every individual engineer that would come in. And then the pimp or madam would say, okay, meeting over, get to work. That's what I can express to you as given permission by muted voice and many muted voices. So you see how critical this issue is, because now they're more organized and they're online. As your students, as students you know, neighbors you know, as you, during this period of 2021, have had to learn quickly, as fast as possible, they have learned as well. And last thing I want to say is they get paid who know online work in a competitive market way with regular engineers and IT people. They get paid either equal or more. So that's why I mentioned heavenly justice. Now, it is an uncomfortable topic to speak about, so I must thank God for speaking for me. I do not want to talk about this horrific topic. So I am looking now at the victim, and I'm going to speak to the victim. Please know this. We love you. You're precious. You're a gem. You're value. And we've heard your cries, and we're looking for you. We're looking for you. And run if it's safe. Run. Now, I will end by looking at the horrific, the most evil of perpetrators, and tell you, stop. We're coming after you.